Hello, good evening, and welcome to our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, L.A. by Night. We are delighted, thrilled, and relieved to be back with you once again. I'd like to welcome you to Season 5 of our Chronicle. Episode 1, Tower of Glass. Let's start by meeting our vampires.
Hello, I'm Nora Ibrahim, and I play Ebe, the sheriff of Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Shane Easton. I play Katya, Tremere Primogen.
Now, it won't surprise you to learn that more vampires, including Brian Deckart, Josephine McAdam, Amelia Rose Blair, and B. Dave Walters, will be joining us at dramatically appropriate moments. I'm Jason Carl, your storyteller. We want to say a special word of thanks first, before we get rolling, to the family. And that's you, the people who are with us this evening, the people who have been with us since the very beginning, or maybe you joined us lately, having become a fan of Jasper TikTok. That's okay too. We're very grateful to you for being with us. However you have found us, however you've discovered LA by Night, thank you. Without you, there is no Chronicle. We appreciate the fact that you could spend a couple hours every week any way you want to, but you choose to spend it with us. And that makes us feel very special. Thank you. The second thing I'd like to say before we begin is about the pandemic. When we started to work out what would happen this season, that was an open question. And what I've decided is that out of respect to the people who have endured and are still enduring the global pandemic, the most respectful thing to do and the appropriate thing to do is not to include that as part of our story. This story is about vampires and about these particular vampires in this particular place at this particular time. And so that's where we'll focus. We mentioned time. Time has passed since we last visited these vampires. How much time? Well, that's very difficult to say exactly, because that is a matter of perspective. For the people of Los Angeles, for the living, time has special and specific meanings. It matters, for example, whether it is 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. It matters whether it is Tuesday or Saturday. It matters whether it's April or October. Mortals, with very rare exceptions, live and die by the calendar and the clock. Now, the clock matters to vampires too, because the span between sunset and sunrise is all they know of their existence. That variable interval of darkness that punctuates and separates each day is all that they're aware of. And that new sense of time takes on special meaning for the vampire the instant that a mortal passes from their living world into the land of undeath. But soon after that, surprisingly soon, shockingly soon, too soon, whether it's Wednesday or Sunday, May or December, last year or this year, these details, these short-term signposts that guide the time of the living matters not so much. And the longer that a vampire survives, the less they matter. Until, unexpectedly, one night, they do. With this firmly in mind, Let's tell the vampire story. And where are we this time? We are downtown, the heart of the city in many ways. Skyscrapers are abundant in this part of Los Angeles, and even at this late hour, people in business desire are on the streets talking into their wireless headpieces, hailing ride shares, and moving purposefully to and from rendezvous at bars, restaurants, and hotels. The architecture down here ranges from a century or so old to something that was constructed in the span of just a few months ago. Banks, office towers, expensive condominiums, upscale retailers, and other similar businesses are especially prevalent. The neighborhood is a magnet for those who have money and want to turn it into more. Capital companies, venture capital companies, hedge funds, financial analysts, all have their hotels here. Penthouse offices far above the people who live out their lives in the places below. It's a curious collision of the financially fortunate and the much less so. A place where hope and envy clash day and night. There's a fortune to be made here for those with the daring or the luck to do it. Unfortunately, there's always someone else who's made an even greater fortune, and the attitude in this part of the city does not really welcome a second place is fine outlook. And perhaps that is why we are here in this part of town and in this particular place. What is that place? The place is the Farmers and Merchants Bank building. It was designed in the classical revival style, the very first bank in Los Angeles, and it remains one of the finest West Coast examples of a temple to finance. It's 2 stories, white marble, with a beautiful facade reminiscent of a Roman temple, punctuated by an entrance framed with Corinthian-style columns. In the scene, we find ourselves inside this historic site, in a boardroom, beautifully appointed. But it's no longer a bank. It's just an empty place. Perhaps it's used for filming locations or special events, but otherwise, no one comes here except those with particular business. A century ago, the skylight above the lobby outside the boardroom would have allowed filtered moonlight and cold starlight into this beautiful space. But tonight, what can be seen of the sky through the glass and ironwork is obscured by the shadows of the tall skyscrapers that surround us on either side and the light pollution of a busy metropolis. And this is where we find vampires.
Ebe, I need your help.
Always. What's wrong?
I have noticed that Tremere have been going missing all over the city. And at first I thought just Anarchs, maybe just something that happens, until I lost Vera.
Who? I'm sorry.
Vera. My most trusted assistant, her and Bosch.
Vera, yes, forgive me.
Help me fight the gargoyle?
Yes, yes. Many? Like, how many are we talking?
Several. A handful. Just... I was turning a blind eye to it, and then she's gone, and Bosch has been all over the city looking for her, and...
When's the last time you saw her?
A couple weeks ago. I think, when we were taking care of that club.
Do you have an idea of what part of town she might...
Ladies. I come over and I kiss each of you on the cheek twice, as is tradition.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How do you find yourself this evening?
Troubled?
Aren't we all? Before the prince arrives, I have a little matter I'd like to settle with the both of you. I want to thank you both for your incredible dedication and comfort that you have given the prince and I. And as a reward, I would like to bestow to each of you one thing that you would like the most. In exchange for just one little favor.
And that would be...
As you know, tonight shall be a momentous occasion. A line will be drawn in the sand. I believe I trust you, but as you know, trust is hard for me to come by. So I want you to allow me into your minds fully. Let me touch your minds. In exchange, I will grant you your one truest, deepest desires.
Well, I can say that I will look forward to seeing when you find it.
Your desire?
If you are reaching into my mind, I'm sure you'll find it.
So you accept?
Of course.
Excellent.
So, Ebe, do we understand then that you will relent to this telepathic contact? You do not intend to resist?
I don't think I have anything to hide.
Suzanne, as you have done so many times before, you allow your consciousness to extend beyond the boundary of your person. Doesn't have far to go in this particular case because Ebe is, of course, right here. But the sensation is always exhilarating nonetheless. Now, Ebe is La Sombra, shadow crafter, shadow killer. Are the thoughts that Suzanne touches Ebe as dark as the shadows you command?
Oh, yes.
What is uppermost in your mind this evening?
There is a threat to all of us with these thin bloods. And I intend to crush every single one of them.
I put Victor Temple into her mind.
An image of the undisputed Baron of the Valley fills your mind's eye. Victor Temple, resplendent perhaps in one of his best suits, familiar, charming smile that you have known so well, both as mortal and vampire. What do you feel when you see it? What do
Mixed
you think?
feelings. He has always extended a kind hand. However, his actions make him a liability. I don't really like that very much. There are rules for reasons. And I don't like people who break those rules.
You have passed my test. Whatever you desire, tell me, and I shall make it so.
You know, I never turn down a position of power.
Mm.
And I will let you decide what you feel is deserving.
I shall discuss with the prince, but know that we trust you implicitly and are grateful for your service as our sheriff.
It's my pleasure.
Katya, my darling, what do you desire?
Katya, you have a choice to make. You can relent to the touching of your mind with Suzanne's thoughts, knowing that if you do, you can't hide what you're thinking, or you can resist. What do you choose?
I resist.
Resist. So please form a dice pool. Let's have your, how many unspent willpower do you have at this time?
5.
5. Let's make it your resolve plus your intelligence. You are at 1 hunger. Please roll a rouse check before you start to see if you are even hungrier upon waking tonight.
I'm good.
Okay, so it's just one hunger die in your pool then.
Five successes.
5 successes. So 5 is the number to beat for you, Suzanne. So your dice pool is larger than Katya's. You have a total of 9 dice. Please take one of the red hunger dice and roll it once before we begin.
I'm fine.
So just 1 hunger dice in your pool, included in the total of 9. All right. And as always, we are looking for ankhs, or ankhs with stars, to indicate successes. Blanks are failures, skulls are failures.
6 success. All regular, unfancy onks. 1, 2, 3. 3 blank.
6 successes defeats Katya's resistance. Katya.
Katya. Why do you resist me? What are you afraid of?
At no time have I ever broke my faith to you.
But now you do.
You know what I desire.
Tell me. Give voice to it.
You know.
Let me feel it.
It's New York. There's a river. I'm sitting there. And she comes out of the water and she looks so beautiful. It was before I embraced her. She smiles at me. You can hear Katya say, just this one thing. Just this one thing I want. She loves me.
I do hope you're right. Because tonight, sweet Katya, we must face our biggest fears. Are you ready for the prince? I sense his arrival. Be on your best behavior.
Always.
The boardroom door opens to admit.
Wow.
Suzanne. You step just aside and out of... Tell me.
Ebe is with us, 100%. Though Katya, her heart still gets in the way. Young Ava.
Ava. I must summon her here.
I like your thinking.
Sheriff? What news since last we spoke?
Well, the city seems to be unraveling. It looks as though things that we fear, not that you would ever fear anything, but things that become a concern for us, seem to be getting worse.
As it is written. Katya.
I've been trying to find information about the Thin Bloods. They can do such things with blood. It's quite remarkable.
It
And
is written.
I'm still working on it.
I fear we may be running short on time. Which is why we have gathered here. In this sacred Ventru place. And invited our most illustrious guest. This Baron Temple.
Victor Temple?
He will join us here tonight.
Why?
What business do you have with him?
Temple will tell us the precise location and method with which we will destroy the greatest number of Thin Bloods in our capacity.
He knows where they are?
He must.
He's protecting them.
Of course.
I'm not surprised. He's pompous, malicious, dangerous.
A
Reckless.
boil.
Your words are strong, but his actions are stronger. And he will speak to us or he will perish. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
Of course.
Vannevar and Suzanne, is it fair to say that you have not come to this place, journeyed far from the Camarilla's territory, unaccompanied?
This building is surrounded with some of my most able-bodied soldiers, not out of each other's line of sight, and communicating entirely verbally and non-verbally without any technology that might be interfered with by these Anarch. We are using our most ancient of tactic, and we will spare no expense.
Something troubles me. For someone who's so disgustingly welcoming, why would he willingly give up this information to us?
Do you not see that the Baron has formed strong attachments to the others, these Anarchs, as they've been named? If he will not speak to us of the Thin Bloods and how to destroy them to save himself, he may stay alive for them.
I have someone who might be able to convince him. If we don't do it ourselves with force. My prince, you look so well, and I am so happy to see you. So strong. And this time that we've spent together has been so special to me. Evangeline has returned to the Camarilla. Myself and Strauss have been helping her get the hang of things again. I do have her here with me now.
Here.
Yes. I thought... Well, I wanted to tell you, and you said that tonight was important and that we would have to be on our best game, and she is so strong. She can... You know what she can do. She's... And I just thought, since we've been working...
Without you, Katya, I would be lost. Suzanne knows this to be true. You will have her here tonight. Summon her.
Evangeline, darling.
Hello, my prince. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome here, Evangeline of the Camarilla.
Though you do know that by being here, you are putting Katya at risk should you do anything out of line.
I have no intention to do so. I'm here to help and at Katya's wishes.
Do you swear?
I swear it.
Then you wouldn't mind if I start to walk around her? If I just make sure of that myself, then. I look over at Katya as I stand behind Evangeline, and I put my hands on your head, and as I do, you can feel me seeping into you and into your mind. Open your mind to me, Evangeline.
What do you want to know?
I bring Jasper to mind.
Eva, let's be clear. Are you allowing this?
I will allow it. I will try to think of certain things.
So, the visage Jasper Hartward forms in your mind's eye, his face, his strange, monstrous face that you know intimately. What are the surface thoughts that accompany this image? What do you think of?
There is affection there, but it's also anguished and angry and hateful. You'd see Jasper's form perishing in my mind's eye.
Perishing? Can you elaborate for us? Do you mean to say that in your mind's eye, Jasper dies?
She is thinking of it, yes.
So the final death, not merely torpor, not merely the many wounds he has known so often, but
Yes.
the end.
Consumed.
I bring then Katya to her mind.
There is an image of Katya alone in wilderness in a cabin, and you can see that that is what Eva desires, but at peace, but alone.
And I bring the prince to her mind.
There is a conflict of emotions. You can hear Strauss's words in her own mind, telling her to be obedient and to follow and be in line. And there is a part of Eva that wants to do what Strauss asks. However, there is conflict there. There is something darker beneath it. But she does see herself alongside. When you mention the prince, she thinks of the court, she thinks of everyone here. There's an image of her alongside, even against the Thin Bloods and other kindred in their path, including the Anarchs.
Eva, when you think of Strauss, a
Yes.
memory, unbidden, leaps into the forefront of your mind's eye before you can stop it. It's Strauss in his customary red attire, with those glasses he likes to wear. And he is holding out to you a cup, a chalice, really, made out of some dark metal, filled with vitae, instructing you to drink and be welcomed back into the clan.
Yes, you would see that memory, and as I drink, the emotions and the feelings within Eva do change to that of more willingness and more servitude.
And finally, me. I bring myself into your mind as I dig deeper.
Similar to that of Vanavar. conflicted yet willing to work with for other means, such as taking out common enemies.
And finally, Victor Temple is your final test.
The Baron's face looms large in your mind's eye.
There is much anger there. Memories flit back and forth between a moment in which Eva's mind was taken over by some power, something, and she holds much anger on it. And you see, similar to Jasper, is Victor lifeless, not just in torpor, but various demises within her mind.
And with this, I release your head. I lean over, kiss you on the cheek, make eyes at Katya. You've done well.
Thank you. I look at Eva. Thank you.
Sir. He's here. Shall we bring him in?
Admit him.
He's, seems to be by himself.
Seems to be.
Very well, sir. Sound of receding footsteps away from the door. The empty marble polished floor of the lobby makes the footsteps of the booted soldier echo now that he's not trying to be quiet. And another set of footsteps approaches. Victor, it is a boardroom, beautifully appointed, tasteful, large, overstuffed, comfortable leather chairs, a huge polished wooden table, a bookcase filled with volumes of finance and law, big windows that give a view of some of the skyscrapers outside in the night. Oh, and of course, vampires.
When I enter the room with awe already active. But as I see who all's in attendance, I promptly drop it. It's like,
2 more questions then. First of all, let's deal with your hunger. Waking at 1, you need to make a rouse check.
I'm okay. The floor dice has come through for me.
Flustered?
Never.
So you are at 1 hunger. The same question was asked of Vannevar. Have you come alone? And if not, who did you bring?
I have not come alone. I arrived in my limousine with an escort of 2 SUVs.
Is it that limousine?
Oh, the limousine, yes.
The armored limousine.
It's a special occasion.
Of course it is.
2 SUVs, front and back. Security complement of about 10 people total, but they're all outside.
On the street?
They're positioned in such a way, if anybody was watching them, they seem positioned to defend the bank. Not necessarily to fight their way in, but to stop anything else that was coming for the bank. Campbell has entered the building with me, but he is outside in the hall. He does not enter this room.
How are you maintaining communication with Campbell? Through the earpiece. I apologize, Victor. Are you armed?
Always.
Of course.
My golden Ralphus pistol is securely in its holster.
Now, you don't have that many rounds left. 8, I believe.
That is true. I do have 8 rounds left. 4 are in the clip on my person. 4 are in the clip of the second weapon in the safe at the Maharani.
The new safe.
Yes, the new. That's true. Ran into an issue with the old safe.
And here we are.
Prince, Seneschal, Sheriff, Primogen, and Eva.
Hello, Victor.
You know, I was quite happy to receive your invitation to this high holy place, but I must admit I did not expect such a grand assemblage. To what do I owe the honor?
Baron, you are aware of the presence, shall we not mince words, of these thin bloods, which do seem to rather reign over our city. As you can imagine, this has become an increasing issue for the tower, and truly for all kindred alike. Should you value your undead life, you will educate us, let's say.
First, you look well. Happy to see it.
I remember you taller.
Apparently something has gone wrong with your eyesight, but perhaps your strength is continuing to return. Excellent. Second, we have been true. We are not Bruja. We are not blunt instruments. We do not begin with threats and violence. We deal. We negotiate. Of course, you can threaten me. Of course, all of you are powerful. I spend every night of my existence dealing with gods and monsters, probably more than capable of striking me down, or so they believe. So, let us try this a different way. You clearly have something you want from me, information about the Thin Bloods. What is it that you are offering me in return? And it isn't my unlife for a number of reasons.
Am I unfamiliar with negotiation? I am remembering that I would ask something of you and you in return. Is there not some equal proposition that you would make for us, or is your mind slipping?
No, here's why. And I believe your sheriff, and if not your sheriff, your scourge definitely could inform you of one simple, unavoidable fact. You want to know about the status of the Thin Bloods because they have become a problem for you. If you harm me, your problems are only multiplied. I am your greatest line of defense. If I fall, the city explodes. The Anarchs go to war. Jeanette, Rodriguez, go to war. The Thin Bloods, having seen the one reasonable kindred fall to your hand, go to war. Your problems multiply exponentially.
Then it seems we have found ourselves with one possible solution, that which I proposed at the beginning of our meeting, which is you would tell us what you know about these Thin Bloods and how we are to best eradicate them, and in so doing, maintain your own relatively handsome unlife.
Flattery. Yes, Ebe.
If I may.
You must explain to him how I work.
No. If I may.
You may.
How could you possibly believe that the Thin Bloods are the most reasonable when they will literally be the end of us all? They are not a threat to our prince. They are a threat to everyone, including yourself, Victor.
I've read the book. I know what it says. You've seen my copy. It is quite impressive. Yes.
Do you not believe it?
The problem is, the prophecy isn't the thing that called me down here to threaten my life, which, again, I know you're not serious, because if you really wished to harm me, you could have sent...
Sheriff, restrain him.
So, what do you wish to do?
I wish to. I would like to, if I can use Arms of Ahriman, my tentacles, to just kind of seep out like ink from me my sides and in a seemingly an embrace, but very much a restraint.
So, matching deed to thought, instantly the place that Eve occupies grows somewhat darker, and the shadows in the room, behind the bookcase, under the table, in the corners, respond to her summons. It's though they are eager to do her bidding, almost hungrily moving to her command. Thin, whip-like arms of shadow encircle you as you sit, and their touch reminds you instantly of that terrible mirror in the labyrinth where life and love and light itself does not exist. Only coldness, blackness, and loneliness are there. Now, I'm presuming that Ebe isn't squeezing.
No, just enough. I don't wish to injure, but I do very much wish to restrain him. And I would also, in a whisper to Victor, "You brought this upon yourself."
Ebe, one more point of business that will require you to make a rouse check.
Mm-hmm. I get hungrier.
You get hungrier.
I just whisper back to her.
Yes. Give him to us. Let us take care of this for you. Take his blood and you are one step closer to all that you wish.
I will only do what I've been asked.
Spoil sport.
I do whisper back to her. You know what I think about you and your job.
I don't think you fully understand.
Victor, you aren't certain what it would take to break free if you choose to do so. You suspect that calling upon the power of your vitae, you might exceed the normal limits of your strength and break free. Possible, yes. You're not sure exactly, though, the amount of effort.
I've seen what the Scourge is capable of with this. Blunt force is probably not the move. Again, Prince, harming me gains you nothing. I have come to negotiate.
First, we will need a location. Rather, a target. A high concentration of thin bloods, their whereabouts, and most likely, time.
In exchange for?
My sheriff maintaining your less attractive unlife.
I think one way or another we're at a crossroads here, Prince. I think this night, I think the next few minutes are going to dictate the course of this city's trajectory for decades, possibly centuries. I have said from the beginning, and at least 3 people in this room can verify, I have only ever spoken of you with respect and a wish for what's best for you. And I'm here to tell you, in this of all places, this is not what's best for you.
It's what's best for all of us. And I force bolt hit him in the face.
Force bolt. You will need to make a roll.
And he is still restrained at this point.
Oh.
Hmm?
No successes.
None whatsoever.
None.
Floor days don't exist. This is a warning shot. Warning shot.
So you extend your hand and you release a bolt of telekinetic force that passes beyond Victor, perhaps behind his head. You can feel the force of the blow. You're not sure what it would have done to you had it connected. It doesn't seem like it would cause you lethal damage, but it certainly wouldn't be pleasant.
That was a warning.
Counteroffer. You may not recall. Well, I suppose I'm bound. I don't really lean forward too much. You may recall. I spoke to you once before about a Council of Thorns, which may or may not be in the cards for us in the future. I'd certainly hoped that calm heads would prevail, but you and I should renegotiate the districting of Los Angeles.
And this is a present issue in the face of our potential annihilation.
Because I have something that you want, yes. Yes. If not now, when? Because here's the problem. Were I to give you the home address of every single one of the Thin Bloods and you eradicate them, we'd be right back at this table in maybe 6 months, maybe 6 years, maybe 60, squaring off against each other again, me hopelessly outmatched again. You have the combined might of the Camarilla at your disposal, your own power, the Seneschal. There's a great assemblage of power, and Strauss isn't even here. This is my moment of maximum leverage.
You speak well, Baron. And quickly. Define for me the parameters of this district. I will hear your proposal.
You are, of course, wise, Prince. I believe currently things exist in a certain state of equilibrium. The Camarilla and the Anarchs are not actively at conflict. You roughly stay on the west side. You have extensive reach down into the south. Everything now that Anarchs essentially stay out of, Anarchs will continue to stay out of. In exchange, Santa Monica, downtown where Rodriguez holds sway, the valley, of course, you never have to publicly say is not Camarilla territory. You just mysteriously never really flex your authority there.
And through omission, district you your power.
Everyone continues with our unlives unabated for as long as we can, because do I need to remind any of you, yes, the Thin Bloods are an existential threat, but they are not our real foe. Our real foe walks around in the daytime. Our real foe carries badges. Our real foe monitors communications, which is why you don't use them. That's our real...
Monitoring our communication is insignificant compared to drinking our kindred. And it is said that their power is growing, that they might themselves, in enough numbers, overwhelm even our most powerful kindred.
How do you plan to rule your barony when this group of people is going to destroy the very essence of your power?
You must understand, I know how they think about fighting you, because how they think about fighting you is how I think about fighting you. They know your weak points.
Which is to find themselves bound in an old building?
Again...
Tell us, Victor, how have they been able to organize? What has allowed them that space?
With respect, the thing that organized them, the thing that caused them to rally around each other, was a blood hunt declared on all of them. When they found out that their lives were forfeit, when the scourge started killing them indiscriminately, which took careful negotiation to help them differentiate from La Sombra to La Sombra, is what caused them to rise up. And I myself, I personally have done all I could to shield you, and by extension myself, From the full scope of their retribution, are you aware that some of them can go out in the daytime?
That is why they're thin bloods.
They can't all do it. Don't get me wrong, they very much tried to threaten me with that, and I very much dismissed it as my ghouls and security guards go out in the daytime. But imagine what we would be capable of with all of our powers and the day.
You mean to tell me there is some manner in which to harness this ability for ourselves?
I cannot say that for certain. I'm hardly a student even of...
Katya, could it be done?
It possibly, very well could be done. But I need to get my hands on one of them to find out.
Now we're negotiating. Suppose I were able to deliver one. One. Who knows how to go out in the sun.
We get one, we could find everything else out.
What is a fly to a swarm of flies?
If it helps you concoct the perfect pesticide, I suppose.
How are we to know that you are not going to run back to them and whisper all the secrets?
I mean, you have to assume I've already told them whatever I'm willing to divulge.
You have one in mind? This day-walking thin blood?
I am aware of at least one who possesses such a power.
And they are where?
In my domain. I'm sure, no doubt you heard, some time ago, there was an altercation in a large scrapyard. My coterie and I dealt with it personally. The details are not particularly relevant, but in the commission of enforcing my domain, I came across such a person.
Is this a sufficient relinquishing? Should we find ourselves one of 1,000 or potentially more in this city?
I walk up to Victor.
I actually don't let her touch me.
Well, you are...
Oh, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I guess I don't...
You have
I
no
attempt.
choice.
Yeah, right.
You want to lean away?
Yeah, I try. I mean, if she gets me, she gets me.
Is there can another tentacle extend out and turn?
You want
his
to
head
manipulate
over?
the shadows?
Can
A little shadow play,
Yeah.
perhaps?
just
So the question is, if he tries to move out of the chair, will you actually stop him?
of course.
I don't physically try and muscle out. I realize that's not my forte. So when I attempt to lean, if I'm held, I'm held.
All right.
All right. So, I straddle you, and I put my hands on either side of your face, and I lean in very close.
If this is just what you wanted, you just had to ask.
And I say, open your mind to me right now, Baron. And I slip my tentacles into his brain.
Those would be mental tentacles rather than shadow
It's true,
tentacles.
because the possibility exists of,
Yes. So,
it
is
may come as a total surprise. I resist.
Yes.
It's futile.
So, your dice pool is your resolve and your intelligence. Almost as though you are resisting a possession.
I'm resisting possession or telepathy, sir?
Telepathy.
Excellent.
It's a
Perfect.
superior power. Remember, you were at 1 hunger in the pool.
Yes, sir.
And this will determine the difficulty. How are we doing?
I would like to spend a willpower.
So take a point of superficial willpower damage in order to re-roll up to 3 normal dice, but you cannot re-roll, of course, the hunger die.
Ooh. Fate is not on my side tonight. That is only 3.
3 successes. So that is the roll to beat. So your dice pool,
9.
9. Include the 1 hunger
The
die.
tragedy is I have a not insignificant dice pool to resist this, and yet.
1, 2, 3, 4. Just barely, but I think I got it.
Barely. Just barely. So it's uncomfortable. It's intrusive.
I bring up the Thin Bloods, and I want to see what his true feelings are for them.
So, no particular face comes to mind. Perhaps it's a page from the Book of Nod with the prophecy in it, the time of thin blood.
My thoughts are they are dangerous, but so are you.
I want to feel his heart. Does he have emotions towards them? Does he feel empathy towards them? I press my hand onto your heart.
Are you trying to shield your deepest thoughts?
I mean, to the best of my ability, but I suppose she's one step ahead of me.
So, I'm going to make a ruling here. Roll your unspent willpower. Remember that you've taken 1 superficial willpower damage already. That is not available to you.
That worked out better. That's 4. Thought I had a crit. I don't.
So a tie against your power. The kindred that you were, kindred that you were thinking of earlier is Blake, isn't it? And that's the image that comes to mind. The young, callow-faced, thin blood with the unfashionably short haircut and the wounds suffered at the hands of those kindred who kidnapped him, held him prisoner, until you and the coterie that you used to be a part of rescued him. His features are plain to you. You would know this Blake if you saw him again.
I slap you across the face. That's for resisting me. And I step away.
The pressure, the intrusion, the effrontery is gone. Now, I'm going to make another ruling. Ventru. Roll your unspent willpower again to resist the rising fury at being so abused in public. This is an assault on your dignity, not just your person. So, you do maintain control, but you can feel the resentment and the anger building up inside you.
I feel that. So, he is young and stupid. Still, he does not understand the true power and the danger of these Thin Bloods. He seems to think we are equal in danger to the Thin Bloods. You are too much a baby to understand the greater scheme of things. That you are dancing literally with your death.
My prince, Evangeline and I do have an errand we need to run tonight. Trust me, it's very important, and with Victor tied up here, so we say, it seems a good time to make our exit.
Yes, yes, let them go.
I
Gotcha.
do hope.
Pool of shadow descends from one of the air vents in the room, coalesces in a corner to reveal the form of your scourge, Aurora, who glares directly and pointedly at Eva. By all means, please, I implore your majesty, let them go.
Katya, you are relieved. Unless there is anything this Evangeline should like to speak before the departure.
I only wish to tell Victor that I think it's in your best interest to do as the prince asks. Best interest of yours and what remains of your coterie. That is all.
Thank you. I watch Aurora as I leave.
Aurora remains in the corner. She hasn't moved. She looks as though she does almost every night, with her dark hair, her sardonic expression, her dark clothes. But her eyes never leave Eva.
As I exit, I would love to have a flicker of electricity between my fingers.
You allow a little spark of electrical power to dance at your blood-red fingertips as you pass by.
Mm-hmm.
Despite herself, she flinches.
See you soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure too.
Let's go.
Shall we meet again, Ava?
Baron Temple, you look good.
Can't dodge the shadows forever, I suppose.
No, you can't. Cousin, you look even better.
Thank you, my dear. Always a pleasure.
Your Majesty, I have completed the circuit as you instructed. He has brought people, of course. There is a limousine. I think it is the very same limousine that belonged to your old herald, Chaz Price.
He had no more use for it.
That's what I hear anyway. And he has, you know, those tedious SUVs that everyone in Los Angeles seems to drive.
Let us recover this limousine for ourselves, thank you. I trust the keys are in it.
I am on my way. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Tell Rodrigo I said hello.
I will deal with you all soon enough.
I just haven't seen him in a while, that's all.
But your little red friend first. She exits as she arrived. Shadow form, receding upward, almost like black vapor disappearing through the vent.
Baron, you will first give us the name of this day-walking thin blood. Now.
If she's so powerful, she should already know.
I squeeze a little tighter when he says that.
You can feel the cold touch of the shadow tendrils tightening around your undead form. It's not painful. Not yet.
Susanna's good with faces, not so with names. Give me a name.
I don't recall his name.
Lies.
I did it as a favor.
And you will tell me where they meet. Where do they gather? And at what time?
Do I look like I'm a member of the Thin Blood Club?
In fact, you do.
You've made a number of tactical errors tonight, Prince. Please do not continue to compound them.
Ebe, please make a roll. The pool is wits and awareness. Make sure to include your hunger die.
0 successes.
Nothing.
Nothing.
At all. But not a bestial failure.
No.
Okay.
The dice are rusty.
They indeed are.
Maybe they're hungry.
Victor, please understand that we are trying to help you. It is as if you are drinking poison and we are trying to stop it, but you must drink it because it tastes so delicious.
I've come here on good faith, to this of all places, to speak as gentleman, to speak as Ventru. I've been met with nothing but disrespect and violence and threats.
As is your very existence to me, an insult. As it has been since we first met and you did not. Baron, I am old. By any hand of the clock, I am tired. But one thing I know to be true are the words written here, and that the time of the thin blood is upon us. Now it is my duty, as your prince of this place, and all the kindred in it, to protect them from these words which are written down. And surely you are familiar with them by the rosary you carry. Gehenna will soon be upon you. How soon, I cannot tell. But it seems imminent that you should at once and finally serve your prince.
Before you answer, Victor, it is your turn to make a wits and awareness roll. Three successes.
Yes, sir.
A retort forms. But before you can hurl it back, Prince, something at the window catches your eye. It's hard to recognize what you're seeing at first because, as I said, the window looks out and you were at the ground floor and there are buildings all around you. There are street lights, lights from the nearby skyscrapers creating a lot of light pollution and reflection, but whatever is outside the window is moving independently, and it's small, maybe as big as like a frisbee, and there are a couple of blinking red lights on it, and it's moving up and down and side to side as though it's hovering in the air outside the window.
I just turn to Ebe and I say, there's something at the window. It looks technological. Let go of me and defend your prince.
What did you do?
If I did it, would I be warning you? Let go of me and protect your prince. Don't make me make you. Let go of me.
I will hurl him to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to resist the force?
No.
So you find yourself pushed to the ground, fall out of your chair, onto the carpet beside the boardroom table. Chair spills over.
I do actually point at it, though, because they don't know what's happening. I just basically hit the deck and I just point.
Who looks at the window?
I will look quickly. I don't know if I'll be able to.
I look at the
You
window.
glance at the window. Well,
Follows
you
me.
see it. You see it there too. For a moment, it's clearly visible in the reflected light. Small, mechanical object hovering in the air with blinking red lights.
Whatever that is, it is not good for us. We should depart.
And this is when several things happen at once. Whatever it is outside the window emits a painfully bright flash of intense light. Ebe, this is awful. The tendrils, as though shriveling in sunlight, unwrap themselves, unwind themselves from Victor, and dissipate, no matter how hard you try to call them back. There's a sound from the lobby outside the door of the boardroom. Breaking glass, running boots, small arms fire. Inside the boardroom, the light dissipates, backs down, and whatever was outside the window is no longer there. So, as these things happen, I'll ask you each in turn, what is your intention for the next few moments, knowing only what you know, and having heard and experienced what you've heard? We'll start with Ebe.
I don't quite believe Victor in that he has nothing to do with this, but my instinct is to get my prince and Suzanne to safety.
What action would you take to do that?
I
I'm
would...
just asking about your intention at the moment.
If I don't see anybody immediately, and if there are no gunshots, I will give them as much cover as I can and try to, if I'm not able to exit the building into my armored SUV, maybe find safety in one of the vaults underground.
Okay, so if I can paraphrase your intention, you want to get them out of this boardroom and to a place of safety. Your armored SUV, if that route is blocked, maybe the emergency stairway down to the vaults below, or the elevator if you think it's safe, depending on what you see when you get outside the room.
And because I'm not quite convinced that Victor has nothing to do with it, I will do nothing to help him. As far as I know, this might be his fault.
Victor, what are your intentions?
Is the window clear otherwise?
As far as you can tell, yes. And you are on the ground floor, so the chances of there being any significant drop outside the window are very small. It's not impossible because of the way architecture works in LA that you could be on a hidden level or a strange out jutting of flooring, several stories above, but you think you're on the ground.
Hit my earpiece. Tempo to Campbell on all points. Clear out. Soaring leap out the window.
Soaring leap out the window is your intention. Suzanne.
My first instinct is clairvoyance, to take myself mentally to the lobby to see who's breaking into this building.
Yes. Please make a rouse check. Roll 1 hunger die and let's see if you get hungrier.
No.
Success. No more hunger for you. Let's see. One more roll, please.
Same.
8 dice.
One, two, three. 3, but one has 2 stars.
Ooh. That's enough. Well, that is your intention. What is Vanavar's intention?
Confused by this chatter moments before, having my back turned to the window and not seeing, besides the bright light, I'm exhausted with this conversation and the apparent inability to negotiate. So I will use my presence power of Daunt to Baron Temple and once and finally say, give me a name and a location.
May I add quickly to what I had intended on the way out?
You want to amend your intention?
No, same intention.
Okay.
But on the way out, just as a protection from any threat, if I could shadow cast behind me as I lead them out.
What would your point of doing that be?
Should there be anybody coming in and chasing us, that it would injure them as I try to lead them to safety?
Complicated, but possible. So, this is what happens. Eve moving first, right? You're getting up and going to the door with your intention of leading the prince and the seneschal to safety. Ready to call upon the power of shadow behind you if you need to. You open the door of the boardroom. What you see in the lobby is probably what you expect by now. There is a fight going on in the lobby. You can see individuals you know to be members of the prince's personal bodyguards that he brought with them, fighting with intruders who apparently have come down from the skylight in the lobby. You see several long dangling cables or ropes through which they entered, apparently without making much of a sound. Their uniforms don't give you any hint of who they are or what they might be. You see Victor's right hand, Campbell, lying face down, bleeding out on the cold marble floor, evidently hit by gunshots. Victor, how do you want to do this?
Soaring leap out the window.
Okay, so you spring into action, almost quite literally.
I do give the call, everybody clear out. Whether or not they hear me or can, who can say? But
right. Soaring leap is free.
Mm-hmm.
You can jump 3 times your own length at least. So from the floor, into the air, over the boardroom table, through the glass, which shatters on impact, of course. You didn't call on the power of your blood to increase your strength or your stamina or anything. So your abilities and your skills are as normal. Exit through the window, and it's not that far of a drop. A few feet onto concrete, painful perhaps, but no actual damage done to you as you roll out there. And there are people out here. It's dark. There's light coming from the broken window behind you, spilling out into this space, which seems not to be an alley, but some sort of narrow space, perhaps 8 feet wide or so, maybe 10 feet wide, between the bank building and the structure next door, whatever it is. But there are people to the left of you, and there are people to the right of you, and they appear to be engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Fists, batons, knives. Some of them might even be your people. You're not sure.
I'm in an alley. There's another building.
There's a building directly opposite you, yes. And there are windows within your reach.
Soaring leap to the next one.
Hold that intention. All right. So, Suzanne, reaching out with your mind, expanding it beyond your own consciousness, you can easily envision the area around the building. And what you see is combat. There are people on the streets in uniforms. They are not police. They don't wear the insignia of the insignia of any armed forces that you recognize. Some of them are fighting individuals who have clearly exited Victor's SUVs and his limousine. Some of them are the prince's forces. It's not silent. It's not quiet. And it's certainly not secret. There are regular people, mortals on the street who are seeing this happening in real time.
Are these forces I don't recognize? Can I tell if they're human or if they're kindred?
Well, fine detail is possible with enough concentration and time. They're not using any supernatural powers that you recognize. They're using handguns, they're using knives, they're using police batons. If they are kindred, they're not fighting with their kindred abilities.
Interesting.
Vannevar, you have activated Daunt. You will gain bonus dice to any rolls of intimidation or force or imposure that you wish to do.
Not so useful as they flying leap out the window.
Not so useful as a sheriff.
Absolutely furious to see the back of Victor Temple flicking me off as he flies out the window, quite gracefully for his size. In this rage, I am confused and befuddled and still trying to determine where this bright flash of light has come from. And I turn to my Suzanne.
I don't know who is out there. They're not kindred. I don't recognize them.
Pulling myself together, to regain my composure, I do the only thing that would be appropriate, given the situation and our history. If I have the power to do so, I would activate my presence power of majesty. And my aura of supernatural presence is so magnificent that any mortal who might gaze upon me would be struck silent and rendered immobile.
That requires 2 rouse checks. Roll 2 hunger dice.
1 failure.
1 failure. So you do grow hungrier as you invoke the power of your own magnificence to stand in your stead. But it is a palpable thing, this majesty. It's almost possible to feel his magnificence. It's tempting to stare in rapt awe. He is so magnificent.
You are so magnificent.
In this state, you cannot easily be attacked directly. Those who wish to harm you or oppose you must overcome the power of your magnificent presence.
Sheriff, we're going to need an exit.
The lobby is filled with fighting people. You've drawn your handguns. The front exit at the far end of the lobby, probably not a good idea. There's a lot of fighting people between you and it. To your right, along this wall, the stairway to the vault is much closer. You might have to shoot a few people to get there, but it's not as far to go.
We're outnumbered. We have to move quickly.
You could try the elevator as well, but unknown what you might find.
I'm going to head towards the vault.
You're going to head towards the vault. So your intention is to lead the Prince and the Seneschal out the boardroom to the door.
Hoping they'll be
down to the
distracted by Victor,
vault.
and then we could head down.
Well, speaking of Victor, out in the space between the buildings, not precisely an alley, but not a street either. The next thing you hear is familiar crackle of radio static. It's in your ear. Zzz, zzz. Victor Temple, we have you in our sights. Give it up now, and you get to live.
New plan. Mass dominate. Hit everybody in this alley.
Hit everybody in the alley, regardless of who they may be.
Friend or foe. They're all getting it.
That's mass manipulation, isn't it?
Yes, that is mass manipulation.
That's a rouse check.
It is.
Now, this is just an intention.
It's still good.
We'll go ahead and roll it. What is the dominate power that you will use when it's your turn?
Mesmerism.
Now, you do require a rouse check for that as well.
As I'm prepared. Still good.
Still good. What is the command that you would issue on your turn?
Defend me.
Defend me. Can they see your eyes?
You tell me how many of them can see my eye.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Suzanne and Vannevar, if you'd like to act in concert, that's fine, or you can act independently, but what do you intend to do?
I am going to possess the first human that I see.
Possess the first one that you see.
That's not one of ours.
In the lobby?
Yes.
You could do that through the open doorway without even setting foot out of the room if you want to.
Yes.
Make 2 rouse checks.
One fail.
Cherie, I have missed you so. Will you not feed me in just a little? Please.
Not now.
Let me wet my teeth. You are
Soon.
cruel.
Soon.
You don't care about me. You never did.
I do. I love you, but not now.
Second rouse check.
2 success.
2 successes. All right. So you don't get any hungrier than that. Thank goodness.
Do I have a moment to hit the elevator buttons, but not just to make it look like we're exiting?
Well, if anybody is watching you as you exit, remember, you've only declared an intention. You're not acting yet. If on your way past the elevators you want to hit them, it might distract people or it might misdirect them. It's hard to know who's looking right at you when they're too busy fighting each other. Once you get a hold of that mortal...
I want to use him as a shield. He will defend us no matter what.
Okay, hold that thought. And Vannevar, you are majestic. Are you following the sheriff out the door?
I will follow my sheriff out the door. And if I'm capable, at the same time, should anyone make eye contact or see me in my movement, cloud their memory as to erase their witnessing of my majesty as I pass. They won't remember which way the prince has gone.
And Suzanne, if you wish, while you are possessing your new shield toy, do you also want to follow Ebe?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what happens. Ebe, exiting the boardroom, guns in hand, ready to fire. Moving to the right, sticking to the wall, headed for the staircase. You can see it plainly. The emergency sign is well lit. Hitting the elevator buttons on your way by with your elbow, hoping create some kind of distraction or misdirection. Okay. Quickly followed by Prince Vannevar, resplendent, His Majesty. And then Suzanne by his side. And Suzanne is joined in just a few seconds by one of the attacking soldiers who, with his weapon, which seems to be some sort of submachine gun, seems ready to defend her with his life. Now, things aren't going well in the lobby here. Whoever these attacking forces are, they look like they have got the upper hand over the individuals you trusted to defend you. This is going to get ugly, or uglier, very quickly. Meanwhile, back out in the alley, you have employed the powers of mass manipulation to try to mesmerize. It's tough to do this in a firefight. You're not sure who can see you, who is visible. And they seem to have taken over your communication system. You got 6. That's rather nicely done.
The dice have been fickle tonight, but yes.
Because it's dark, because you can't see their features clearly, you're not sure who the two mortals are who break away from their opponents to rush to your aid. You're not sure you really care, maybe.
Do I have any idea if they're these attacking hostiles when they approach me?
Do you have any idea if the two who approach you...
The ones who are under my sway now, were they Prince's men, my men? Like, based on how they're dressed, are they the attacking
once they
people?
get closer?
Yeah.
One is one of your own people. His name escapes you. He's one of Campbell's new hires. The other one you don't recognize, but you're pretty sure you didn't bring anybody in body armor and helmets.
Having told them to defend me, I duck down, so we're sort of sandwiched on both sides. Keep moving. If a sniper's going to take a shot, they're going to have to go through one of them.
If you go left, it's to the street where you left your vehicles. If you go to the right, you're not sure what's out there.
It's got to be towards the right. I look at, as we're moving, I look at this new attacker, and I say, give me your credentials.
Now, your compulsion to him was to defend you.
Oh, is it one or the other? That's fine. Then we'll keep moving. I'll take his wallet off his body.
Okay. The next sound you hear is a burst of automatic weapons fire, and we'll get back to that. Meanwhile, out in the hallway, the armored, helmeted attackers, having defeated the unarmored defenders, are now approaching across the lobby. Several of them seem hesitant, as though they dare not approach something that they cannot see, but that they can feel in their hearts. Something too awesome to attempt to oppose. But the others show no such compulsion. They have pistols. A couple of them have automatic weapons. And one of them gives you an order. Stand down, blanks. Do it now.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, headed for the stairway, getting out of here. Following the seneschal? Following the sheriff, I should say. Sorry, I didn't mean to give you a battlefield promotion. We don't really know what's going to happen.
Well, she might die, so, you know.
How dare.
Excuse me?
Do you stand down?
No.
Absolutely not.
Sheriff, we're going to need an exit.
You're going to lead them on.
Whatever the safest way to proceed out, even if there's an emergency exit, either an emergency exit or safely into the vault, and hoping that nobody will know that we're down there.
Okay. So you can make it to the vault door, or I should say the door that leads down to the vault, in this turn.
Yes.
So you do so. You make it to the door. Strangely enough, they have not opened fire on you yet. They continue to advance slowly, those of them who are able to do so. The others linger back, unwilling to harm this extraordinary person. Through the door? Okay.
Yes.
Automatic weapons fire, Victor. What's your fortitude status these days?
3. I'm not terribly dexterous, but I'm also not necessarily trying to dodge because I got my human shields. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's what we'll do. We'll resolve this as a single attack.
Thanks, I hate it.
It's a hail of gunfire, followed by bullets slamming into bodies, including yours. So you've had fortitude, you have toughness,
I do.
and beyond
Resilience and toughness. However, I've been shot before. Do these bullets feel special? Do they burn especially? Do they seem like they're harming me more than standard weaponry?
that. Now, if you want to employ toughness, you'll need to make another rouse check.
Yeah, I think that's in my best interest.
Seems like a good idea. How we
Also
do?
passed.
Also passed.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So, it subtracts your fortitude from superficial damage, right? Before having. So the bullets slam into you, and yes, you have been shot before. You've been shot by bullets like this before, but they aren't special bullets. They cause you some pain, some discomfort, but you do not take any damage that you need to mark off your sheet. Your employee is not so lucky. He goes down. The individual who is escorting you in the body armor grunts and pitches forward with the impact. You're not sure if he's actually hurt or not. You can't really tell.
Can I tell if the gunfire is coming from the front, back, or both?
It's coming from the direction you didn't take.
Right. Then, as I look at him, I mean, I clearly don't have time to rummage his pockets, but is there a badge, an ID, a credential, like any identifying mark on this person?
His uniform, his armor, his helmet bear no insignia. Whoever they are, they don't want people to know who they are.
I start soaring leaping. I know he can't keep up, but I mean,
You have a pretty narrow field of
Forward.
travel.
Yeah.
So forward, so that you can get out onto the street that is opposite from where your vehicles are. I presume that once you get there, you'll decide what to do after you get there.
Depending what I encounter out there.
Depending on what you encounter out there.
Yeah.
All right. The stairwell leading down. You've never been in this building before, so you don't really know where the vault is, but you can presume that it's down. So you're following the stairway down as far as it will take you, or?
Yeah,
You're gonna
just
stop?
keeping an eye out for any exits along the way. Listening for footsteps, listening for gunfire.
I activate my heightened senses to listen for any footsteps of anyone following us or anyone behind any potential door that we may encounter.
So you need to slow your own footsteps so that you're not overwhelmed by the clatter of your own feet on the stairway as you go down. That slows your progress. Reaching out with your heightened senses, though. Yes. Yes, there is movement on the floor below you. There are the sounds of booted feet moving slowly, trying to be quiet, and something else, a strange sound, almost like when you were a girl in France. Occasionally, you would pay attention to the peasants, sometimes for amusement, sometimes for other reasons. But you remember the sound of ropes and pulleys, things being hauled along metal, perhaps workers, laborers, operating on your family's estate. That's what it reminds you of. Machinery.
And that's what we're going towards right now.
Apparently, it's either that or the lobby.
Hold. We are walking into a trap. There are footsteps, I hear rope, I hear some heavy thing being pulled. We must prepare if we are good to open this door.
Are we going to be outnumbered? Do you know how many there are?
More than us.
We can't go down there.
This is all horribly familiar.
Is there any sort of emergency exit? Or
If you had the means, you could make one. You could probably get out of here by yourself. But if your intention is to protect the prince and seneschal, you'll need to stay together. So, looking around for anything else that will serve. There is a door on the next landing. You're not sure where it goes. Maybe it's a janitorial closet, or maybe it's another way out. You have no idea. It's not marked, but it's the next portal between here and whatever's down there on the vault level.
do you hear anybody there?
You want to shift your senses?
Yes.
It's hard to triangulate precisely because of the noise from the lobby, the stealthy noises below you, and whatever that weird machinery is. But you don't think you hear anybody behind the door. Now, maybe that's because it does lead to a broom closet and there's nothing back there, or maybe it's empty.
Let's try.
We have to.
And Vanavar is still majestic.
Open the door.
Appears to be locked.
Sheriff, open it.
Kick it down?
You want to kick it down? Do you want to augment your strength before you do that?
I don't want to break. I want it to be able to close once I get
so you
back
still
in.
want it to be in working order.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're screwed.
Mm-hmm. You give it a good kick with your foot. What kind of footwear are you wearing tonight?
Good question. I am in heels.
Mm.
I could take one off and just use the sheer force of my bare foot.
Wouldn't want to damage the designer.
Heck no.
After all. So, you give it a couple of good kicks. There's no way to disguise the sound. Anybody around who is there to hear it will hear it, but they saw where you went anyway from the lobby, so presumably they know where you are now. It flies open. There is a terrible flash of light. There is a sound, a muffled thud, and the explosion catches you all. So, Vanavar has fortitude, which will deal with some of this damage. Suzanne does not, and Eve does not have, well... Do you want to make a dodge athletics roll?
Yes. Am I able to take anybody with me?
You'll have to choose one. You can't take them both.
My prince can fend for himself. I have grown a bit attached to Suzanne as of late, and I could never leave her behind.
So what is exactly your intention? Get her out of the way?
Yes. And run.
Up or down?
Up.
Back. Make the roll.
What would you like me to roll?
Dexterity and athletics. Do you want to increase any of your...
Yes. Can I use... would resilience help?
Well, that'll help you if you get... if you don't absorb what's incoming.
I'm not sure if I have anything that would help me physically.
You can pass your blood to increase your stats.
Hmm?
You can rouse the blood to increase your
Yeah. If I could rouse my blood.
You want to upgrade your dexterity.
Yeah.
Make a rouse check.
Important point of clarification with the rousing.
Success.
Are we using the table from the book or the errata that has since come out?
That's a very, very good question. Since we didn't warn you about a change and we didn't advise our friends, our viewers about it, stick with where we are for now.
One success.
One success. Just one. But that's enough.
Okay.
And you didn't get hungrier.
No.
Okay. So, you have one die to your pool.
One of them is 3 successes.
3 successes. So,
Not rolling well tonight.
not so bad either, though. It could be worse. Acting instinctively, grabbing Suzanne around the waist and shoulders, hurl yourself aside and up against the stairwell that you just descended. The blast doesn't catch you completely. Each of you, however, will take 3 points of aggravated damage. Yeah, that's a lot. So, draw a little destroyed stars in 3 of your empty health boxes. Now, Suzanne, being somewhat older, that's not quite so bad for you, but it is no picnic either. It burns, it hurts, and you must test for frenzy because of the fire. Now, Vannevar, you have a considerable amount of fortitude that's going to help you here, but even you, standing right in front of it, are also going to take the full 3. The rest of it you can ignore because of the strength of your undead flesh, but you can't stop that. So, gotta grab notes. So, Ebe, roll your current undamaged willpower. The difficulty is only 3.
The empty spaces?
The empty spaces. Empty like the abyss.
2 successes.
The difficulty was 3. You can't reroll willpower. So, you are in a terror frenzy. You've got to get out of here and away from the fire. Suzanne, let's see here. So you will roll 7 regular dice.
One, 2, 3, 4. 4 and 1 has stars.
4 and 1 has stars. So you overcome the urge to run and flee and let your beast carry you away from this place. For better or for worse, you remain in control. You remain Suzanne, and not that thing. You see the sheriff, however, her fangs distended, her eyes wild, every muscle taut, and scrambling away up the stairs in sheer terror of the fire. Vannevar, you also need to roll 7 regular dice, which is to say the black dice.
5.
You too remain in command of yourself. The fire burns. It's hot. You hate it, and the beast inside you wants you to save yourself and itself. But you don't. So, I think it's time to look again at what has befallen Victor. Again in your earpiece. Last warning, Temple. Soaring leap, booking it out there. When you clear the side of the building that gets out onto the street, you see pretty much what you expected to see. Vehicles, black SUVs that don't belong to you, men, some in riot gear, some in maybe fatigues, you're not sure. A lot of different weapons. I suspect you're not stopping.
No. Do I by any chance see a manhole cover?
In the street, yes. You'll have to break through some part of this cordon to get there.
How high is the next highest building?
Well, like I said, you're surrounded on all sides by larger buildings and skyscrapers. It's too tall for you to leap to the top of it, but perhaps you could make it to a convenient fire escape.
Well, yeah, I can go about 9 feet. So, yeah, up.
So neither forward nor backward, but up, soaring leap. That is when the automatic weapons fire chases you up there. And the voice in your ear says, "Had your chance."
So did you. Would like to rouse my blood for some dexterity, though.
Make the rouse check.
Still good. Still good.
Still not hungrier?
Nope. Made it through.
Very, very fortunate.
Unfortunately, I'm not terribly dexterous. I never was, but...
Toughness. Lasts for the scene, so you don't have to re-roll it. But there's a lot of them, and your undead body is riddled by a hail of bullets. Far too many, even for your toughness, fortitude to overcome. You're going to take 5 points of superficial damage. So it's not aggravated.
Still, it's
not yet. How many unfilled health boxes does that leave you?
3. 3 more for superficial.
A couple more of those, and you'll start taking aggravated.
I don't intend to take a couple more of those. I'm leaving.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So, up the ladder, or are you going to try to leap to the next level?
As much as leaping is an option, leaping is what.
So every time that you can leap, you will.
Yes.
And when you can't, you'll climb.
Exactly.
Okay. Not looking down, of course.
Exactly.
There are sounds from the fire escape below you to indicate some of the soldiers have begun to climb up after you. They can't leap, though, so it's going to take them some time.
When I get to the top, if the top is clear, to the next building and jumping across to the next building.
Make a wits and awareness roll as you clear the roof, the lip of the roof.
3. Almost
3.
Crit, but not quite.
It's that damn Frisbee thing.
Yeah.
That drone, little tactical drone that you saw outside the window. It's blinking little red lights, hovering around just a few feet away from you. You could probably swat it if you wanted to.
Just try not to look at it and keep moving.
Try not to look at it and keep moving across the rooftop.
I know what it's going to do.
You're going to head away. Which direction?
Doesn't
It's hard
matter.
to know where to go.
Not near the bank.
Away from the bank.
My
That's the only thing.
objective is the first unactively occupied manhole cover is my goal.
So
I
that'll
realize
take
I'm
you
on the
back
top
down
of a
to
building, but I mean go on the tops of the buildings as far as I have to get down to a manhole cover. That's my goal, a manhole cover.
Soaring leap across the roof.
Mhm.
And another one takes you to the opposite roof edge with The little drone following. Even with soaring leap, you're not sure you could outrun this thing.
I don't mind if it sees me, because I'm going to get underground eventually.
Okay, so on the opposite side, there is no fire escape, and it's more than 9 feet. If you jump, you certainly won't die, but you'll take more superficial damage.
I have to chance it, because I have to think they're in active pursuit. They know where I am, so...
Down we go.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Fortitude will still... Still activated for the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Still minus his fortitude from incoming damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 more points of superficial.
4 more superficial?
That'll fill your track
that will
and
take
convert 1 level to
1
aggravated.
Yep.
Down you go. Smashing into the ground below. There are no troops here, though. Wherever you are, they haven't covered this part.
As soon as I open the manhole cover, the drone, and then when I get in, I pull the lid back over me.
You want to try to close it behind you?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment that I am down there, I'd like to activate a new power.
Okay, so heave open the manhole cover.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't things you can open just with ordinary human strength easily. Most road crews use tools to open them. Do you want to, how much, what's your strength?
Got a little bit of potence.
Ah, of course.
Hence the leaping.
I don't know why I doubted. Tear the manhole cover.
Do put it back. I'm mostly putting it back so
Downside.
that thing doesn't follow me. I'm aware they'll get the manhole open. That's not the problem.
Okay.
However, the moment I'm down in descending the ladder, I would like to activate a new power.
What's that?
I would like to activate Summon
Mm-hmm.
on Gary Golden. So he will know where I am and that I'm calling him.
Above you, you hear the sound of the drone clank against the manhole cover. Evidently, it had intended to follow you. And then you hear another noise. Click and a whir. The explosion caused by the drone drives the manhole cover down into the tunnel. Fire. Willpower roll.
I need to double check something.
Meanwhile, Ebe, you don't care anymore. You just want to get away. You need to get away and get out.
Mm-hmm. I
All
left my shoe
thoughts
behind.
are driven out until you are safe. Now, once you reach the lobby, the fire is behind you. All that's in front of you are those damn soldiers who were waiting. You are not in a great place to do anything but resist and oppose immediate threats, because the beast must save itself. What was the willpower roll?
Important point of clarification first. Unswayable mind will not help me with frenzy, correct? I don't think it does, but I figured I should check.
You're talking about the fortitude power.
I am.
It resists coercion directed at you, but
This is the
frenzy is not coercion. Frenzy is the beast acting to protect itself.
Only 3.
How many?
Only 3.
Only 3? No, 3 is what you needed.
After the explosion, still the buzzing?
Different drone.
It's into the darkness. Aside from calling Gary Golden, I'm just moving.
Your clothes are smoking. Your beautiful suit is ruined from bullets and fire and being in the sewers. You're booking it. Ebe, you got to get out of here. You can't stand it. You can't let these people slow you down, whoever they are. So you tear into them, try to get out of here.
Are disciplines no longer active once I'm in that state?
Well, you flee from the source of any danger when, without regard to anything or anything in your way, or anyone in your way. It ends when you no longer perceive any danger, or when the scene ends. You know, using disciplines depends on what they are, and in certain situations can work if there's a discipline you want to use that you think removes a danger in your way.
Yeah, I think I either want to, if I can, use lethal body to just be able to tear my way through people. Or I was thinking oblivion, touch of oblivion, just to be like,
so whatever it takes.
You're down.
It's almost as if the beast is directing you. Now, you could take superficial willpower damage to regain control of yourself long enough to make a more rational choice, or you could trust the beast to get you out of this.
I'd like the beast to try to get me out of this.
Wise choice. You hear someone shout, "She's making a break! Take her down! Take her down! Go, go, go! Green team, out front!" Whatever they had planned, they aren't fast enough, and there aren't enough of them to stop you. Suzanne and Vannevar, being in full possession of your faculties, having resisted the damage of the booby trap door, are in a tough spot. You don't know what other doors here are booby trapped. You don't know how many soldiers there are. You can hear the sounds of what's going on up in the lobby. Clearly they're not defeated, and it sounds like they're shooting at Ebe. And you don't know what's down below you in the vault, but you know there's a threat there. It's a terrible place to be, but you have to choose.
I give you a stern look and say, "It is time." I look back up the staircase, and under my breath, perhaps only so Suzanne can hear it, I begin to mutter what I have memorized from the Book of Nod. There will come a time when the curse of the One Above will not be tolerated further, when the lineage of Cain will end, when the blood of Cain will be weak, and there will be no embracing for these childer, for their blood will run like water, and the potence in it will wither. Then you will know in this time that Gehenna will soon be upon you. I march up these stairs into the lobby where I have seen my sheriff.
Your sheriff is not there. There are several bodies, some with limbs that appear to be withered and destroyed, others with limbs removed. There's blood. There's a lot of bullet holes in the floor and the wall, and presumably Ebe did not escape unscathed. There is no sign of Victor Temple or of your loyal forces. Are you with him, Suzanne?
I am.
Side by side.
Side by side.
Facing whatever comes. This is the best place to end our vampire story for now.
Unbelievable. You had a copy of the Book of Nod right in your hands.
I can explain it, okay? Fiona, she's not to be underestimated.
Fiona's gone. In the wind. She's nothing anymore. Not an asset, not something we can rely on, not a resource. She made a fool of you. Took your men out of here, dominated them, and now they're hers. This is a waste of time, an embarrassment.
Yes, sir.
Between this and the intel you've managed to accumulate thus far, I think we at least have a basis to continue surveillance. When we know enough, we'll put them all to the auto de fe, trial of faith.
Finally. I told Demetrios, calling in the heavy hitters was the right play.
Gregory Demetrios, the agent mentioned in these reports?
Yes. He's been embedded with some local blank bodies for over a year. Gave us our best intel.
Embedded? You think a mortal man is embedded amongst the Cainites? These are monsters of the ancient world, Agent Handler. He's not embedded with anything. He's compromised. In fact, he is entranced by powers that you can barely comprehend. If he had been with them for a week, that would likely be true. He's been with them for years, and all of this intelligence, as a result, is compromised. He's probably been feeding you lies.
No, not Demetrios.
Oh, not Demetrios?
No.
He possesses some unique gift to resist the infernal powers of the undead?
Yes. The safe house, Stillwater, you've read the reports. He's resilient.
And Agent Handler, you do not know the undead. So I would keep your mouth shut when speaking of matters you do not understand. We strike tonight on the targets we have because you have been played for a fool. Your incompetence has left the world of man weak against horrors that would make your mind shudder and shake to behold.
No, give me some time. Give me some time to talk to Demetrios, please.
Greg is already beyond saving, and there is no more time. We are compromised and in danger. The Cainites know everything that you have told to Demetrios is in their ears moments after you tell it to him. Time has run out, Agent Handler, and now we have to move, lest we risk the souls of all of the innocent people of this city. There are monsters waiting for us in the darkness, Agent Handler. It's time to wage holy war on them. Tonight, Los Angeles burns. Thank you for your time.